not everyone's gonna understand you. Not everyone's gonna like you for what you do, who you choose to be. But we have to remember, we are not for everyone. Until this day, she is still seeking to appeal to her parents. But you can only reach them so far as much as they actually want to receive that information. But a lot of people overplan, overthink, overdo. Look at you. You're still planning and you haven't done anything. Duh. Thinking it would fix the situation, prepare ourselves for the situation. Girl, you'll never be ready. But I feel like this one is kind of like an implied conversation that, they don't want to disappoint. If you were one of my friends who, we've had this conversation before, I'm watching you, bitch. Being surrounded by a lot of creative friends, it has really shown me, no matter what level of creativity they are at, no matter what their age is, no matter where they are, the concept of perfectionism is really embedded in a lot of people. And I really want to talk about this because this is a very common conversation. I'm just thinking in my head, oh, girl, like your perfectionism tendencies are coming out. They are talking to me right now. And then some conversations, it's very direct. They are expressing that they are beating themselves up for something they didn't even do yet. It's just like they made this list of how they should go about something and wishing they could do this, but they're not doing it because of XYZ. Fear of starting, fear of being seen, wanting to seek validation, working on someone else's timeline. And then what that looks like is just punishment to self. It's self-loathing. It's thinking and creating ideas but never starting them. It's never continuing them. So I want to share some things that I commonly share and remind my friends of how to go about it. Because it really is a mindset thing. It's also really a matter of fact of finding out if you are trying to be validated, why? How does that make you feel? Like there is always something deeper to wanting your parents' validation. There always is. It's never like I have to. Why? It could just be the simple fact of you want to make them proud, but they want to see that in their language. Seeking validation from others, wanting to do great, succeed, do over the top, to impress, to be validated, to be seen from someone else. A lot of examples are our parents, really. I had this conversation with my friend recently, and she is one of the very few creatives who want to be established like that in her family. Until this day, she is still seeking to appeal to her parents. For individuals like that, we have to really come to acceptance that there sometimes will always be a gap. You can try to teach, inform them of what you do and who you are and why these things are so important to celebrate. But you can only reach them so far as much as they actually want to receive that information and genuinely understand that information. Like after explaining yourself, which honestly you don't have to either. You can try though. Why not? If the barrier is still pretty high, you can't do anything about that. And we just have to accept that. Because what does it look like when we don't accept what is? Everything she's feeling. So frustrated. She knows it's deeply rooted. Knowing that, she continues to pursue that when there is so much resistance. Girl, like she has things to do, but the fact that she is swallowed up by this deeply rooted issue within her is really preventing her from executing. And that's all up in her mind. It's not like a physical incapability. It really is just something that she has yet to accept. If you're watching this, I'm so sorry for using your story, but like your story is more common than you think. I love you. Even outside of creativity, when it comes to just having a general interest and one of your family members just doesn't get it, we have to accept that they just don't get it. They don't want to understand it. And it is frustrating to sit with someone who doesn't want to get it, even though this is me. Not everyone's going to understand you. Not everyone's going to like you for what you do, who you choose to be. But we have to remember, we are not for everyone. Even our family members, we shouldn't expect them to understand us completely. I feel like that understanding, the willing to understand, will show you how committed they can be to this relationship between you and them. Right? Because if they wanted to, like, they would learn, they would try to their best of their ability, and you will see that. But the fact that you've already tried multiple times to explain yourself and the outcome isn't like outcoming, it's not what you thought it would, and now you're disappointed. Girl, stop. Literally just stop. That's a sign within itself to just hold on. What am I doing? Like, why do I have to please this hard? Why you could feel this way is because of a deeply rooted insecurity, or honestly, a past experience that you believe is still true for you. This is the only type of validation I can receive. This is the only validation that is important. Girl, it's not. It's not. The faster you realize this, that sometimes, whatever you do, whoever you're trying to impress, there will always be a gap in understanding and experience because, they live their own life. Creativity and success looks different in their definitions and are most likely not the same as yours. So I tell my friends, the faster you realize certain type of things, the faster, the quicker you're able to move forward, to move on, to let go, to continue. There's a time and place to push yourself and to apply pressure when needed. And you would know when you need to step up your fucking game because you have to. In this case, you need to have a look at what the whole point is. What is the big picture for yourself? Because you got to remember, we're not doing this for certain people. We are doing just for us. After the realization point, I always bring back the idea of, coming back to self, and the fact that whether we're just starting or whether we've been in it for a long time now, you really have to recognize what it took to even get to this point. To apply, to sign up, to speak up, to do something that you've never done before. When you realize the steps you took, being able to be confident, but at the same time, like, I'm scared as shit to even try, that's big. And you have to congratulate yourself on that. You have to be proud of yourself on that. The person that you are with for your entire life is with yourself. And the person that you will die with is yourself. That's why it's so important to be able to have a good relationship with self. And the way you practice this is through acknowledging the things that you've done for yourself. Maybe you can perceive this in a way where when you are working against other people's standards, other people's expectations, you're not free because you're acting, you're feeling, you're doing against a set of life expectations, career expectations of someone else. And let me tell you now, doing that is a huge disrespect to yourself. Acting like that, believing like that really creates bad behavior within self that could lead to just neglecting yourself, disregarding yourself, self-sabotaging. When you've done it so many times, it's so easy to forget or to realize you were self-sabotaging yourself in critical moments of your journey. If it was the other way around and you were consistent with showing appreciation and acknowledgement to the great things you've done, things would look different. You would be doing more. You would be saying more. You would be continuing what you said you would do. I guess another example is like when you're locked up in like the matrix mentality and consumerism mentality. You forget you have free will. Like, you don't have to buy that. This is an amazing advertisement, but I don't have to buy from you. I don't let said things, said people, said rules dictate what I'm going to do, how I'm going to feel, how I'm going to act next. Oh, that was a bar. At the end of the day, you set the standards. You set the standards for what makes you happy, what success looks like to you. And listen, you can use aspects of other people's things, other people's success, what that looks like as a starting point. But you will get to a point where you will have to rewrite all your definitions so you can suffer less, so it can be easy, so it can be achievable, and you don't overestimate yourself or underestimate yourself. It's important to build these, to start considering these, because that's how you will live the rest of your life. You will be living against your own word. You will be living amongst your own morals and values. And listen, being a perfectionist is also a part of the plan, it's a part of the journey. You were not randomly given the opportunity to go in and dig out something that is deeply rooted inside of you. You were meant to figure this out. When you do figure out why so and so is like this, the relief is there. Because now you've freed yourself genuinely from the shackles of someone else. You can raise the bar, you can lower the bar. It is all up to you, and that's where you get the most flexibility. That's where you get the most movement and evolution and growth. Second conversation we always have is talking about failure. But I feel like this one is kind of like an implied conversation that, they don't want to disappoint. They want to do good for others and themselves. And listen, in my opinion, how we define failure and see failure is it's dictionary definitions. You were programmed at a young age to see failure in certain ways. How you see failure is programmed within your mind. It comes back to that idea of, if you're trying to appeal to someone else's standards, you have to know how they see failure is like in their own light. It is through their experience and how they perceive things. When you think of an expectation or a type of success, when you look back at your own values and shit, it doesn't even make sense for you to consider that a success. Like, maybe that's for a certain type of people. Like, that is for a certain type of lifestyle, in fact. And you're not one to live out that certain type of lifestyle and be that type of person. Calling yourself a failure for not being able to achieve that is fucking crazy. Like, it genuinely is. When you figure out certain things about yourself and you realize that they were just so like silly of you to like believe that, to pursue that, like, why would I be so ashamed of something that I wouldn't even see as like a good thing? Like, I was mean. Like, why I didn't have to cuss out, like, genuinely, but I was taught to do so, and that's apparently me winning. But in my world, I could have handled that a more neutral state of mind. And then you call yourself a failure for that? Like, it doesn't even make sense. When you realize that, you will always, always, always drop that. How I see failure, I don't even use that word in my world. I don't look at other people as failures or they are failing. I don't use that in my vocabulary like that. Hashtag free will. If I do use that concept or I try to explain it to other people, when you fail at something, it really shows you a lot. Not the bad things, but it's just the simple fact that you tried. And if you're trying to achieve a goal and do something, that's fucking great. You are better off failing and fumbling 20 times than not starting at all. Because you can compile all the lists, all the ways that you can potentially succeed, possibilities of like this working, but then you don't apply it. How would you know? You could have been writing those lists for a completely different version of yourself that has it all already, that has already built those capabilities and da 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 da. Bitch, you haven't started. You don't, at the moment, you don't have that full capability to predict it this way. Planning is important. Planning is necessary, but a lot of people overplan, overthink, overdo, thinking it would fix the situation, prepare ourselves for the situation. Girl, you'll never be ready. You will never be ready. Perfectionism is not inherently bad, but you need to decide that for yourself. You need to see if it is hindering you, it's constricting you, you feel so limited and also very powerless. That says it all. But if you do use it in a way where you're able to anxiously test the waters, you're able to execute, yes, you are using it in a way where you can healthily push yourself with balance, knowing that if it does get nasty in there, you can point it out. But if that isn't the case, then girl, I think you need to check yourself. Failure is a good thing. Failure is a sign. It allows you to see how much you've progressed. And that is the whole point. If it was that easy to overthink and overplan something and then we will get something, why isn't it happening? Why is it so much harder? But you missed the point. You missed the point. You're supposed to mess up. You're supposed to fuck up. I follow a lot of people in terms of like I look up to them and I respect them for who they are and their lifestyle. But I could never be them entirely because obviously that's not me. Their values and expectations of self, and this is just like not even like hard expectations, it's just like I wouldn't see that from my own life. Thus I would not ever compare myself to you. To begin something, to continue something, it starts right here. It starts right here, right now, girl. Right. If you believe that you are not good enough before nothing even exists yet, you really must revisit your definitions for so. What success looks like to you, what trying looks like to you. And let me tell you again, free will, you can define these as so. Whatever you see out there, all the failures you've seen, successes you've seen, you can alter that to create your own. You will see if what you were doing, what are you saying, how are you behaving is a hindrance. I don't need to point out your specific behaviors. You need to see that and understand that for yourself because you are the person at the forefront of your life. And you do need to have those conversations with self if you need to check yourself. If nothing is going your way, how can we pivot? How we can do better using the experience that we are currently having, which is showing us that nothing's moving. Something is something is in resistance. So remember where you started. Remember to fail faster so you can be pushed forward in the right direction of pathways and more directions that will be more helpful for where you're going. Doing this, you will learn so much skills on the way. Like I said, you can overplan, you can overdo, but look at you. You're still planning and you haven't done anything. Duh. Come on. Starting is definitely the most hardest thing you can do, but that is your free ticket inside where you're going. Once you open the first door, the next 16 is already there, and you just need to choose where you want to go. Doesn't that sound nice? The doors are literally open once you get over yourself. I've also recently found out or came to my own conclusion of what it means to work with what you have. Everything begins now. And when everything begins now, we can only use the resources that are out on our table, in our room, the knowledge in our head right now to bring us to the next step. So utilize that. You don't need anything else to continue to the next step. Maybe that type of information could be useful for the next step, but we need to get to there first. And that's the only thing that we should be prioritizing. That's all for me. Obviously, these conversations with my friends are very specific. I really try to be a little bit more general with the type of advice that I am sharing here today. But hopefully you found something useful in that. But yeah, I'm telling you, that shit is really just a mindset. It's a mindset and it's a belief that you have to do good for XYZ. And usually it's to be of approval. But like, where are these rules coming from? Even if you say it's approval to yourself, where did you come up with these? Just saying. Thank you for watching to the end. If you were one of my friends who, we've had this conversation before, I'm watching you, bitch. I will see you guys in the next one. Toodaloo.